Hello, what is up, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley. If you're new here, hi, hello, welcome. Welcome back. If you're not new, make sure you're subscribed, all the things, follow me on Instagram, all the fun stuff. As you can tell by the title of this video, I am finally, in February, gonna be telling you about everything I read in 2023, and then I'm gonna go through what I read in January, things like that. So, without further ado, this itch on my back, let's get into it. When we moved to Kansas, I wasn't able to bring all of my books with me, so a lot of them are in storage, so I will insert a picture of the book that I'm talking about. So I'm going to talk about all of the ones that I don't have that I read, and then what I do have, I'll show you. Just ignore that one. I have a book Instagram, Ashley Biddix Reads. You should go follow me on that because I post, I think it's fun. It's small, but it's fun content. Okay, I started reading in about October of last year, so I think I only read like 23 books, I believe it was, in total. I don't know, it might have been 20, I don't remember. And I am a Colleen Hoover fan, so don't come for me. I do like her books. But I have migrated kind of away from that. I do have a couple more of her books that I do want to read. We will get there. All right, starting off is this one I did read in March, Regretting You. I gave this one a 3 out of 5. I said definitely could have been condensed. Haven't read all of her books, but liked that this one wasn't back and forth about a relationship.
No.
Hi.
Oh.
What are you doing?
Okay.
Next up, also in March, was Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. I did like this one. I gave this one a 3.5 out of 5. This one was sad, but I did enjoy the happy ending that comes out of it. Next, here we go, we skipped to June, was The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. 3.5 out of 5. It was good and engaging. Felt it started stronger than it ended, but I kept wanting to pick it back up and keep reading. Once I finished the book, I did watch the TV show. Of course, the TV show wasn't as great, but it was still good. Can you shut Mommy's door, please? All right, let's hit 'em hard. Probably my favorite book of 2023, Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Absolutely loved. I gave that one, I rated it originally a 4.5 out of 5. If I could go back, I most definitely would give that one a 5 out of 5. It's a book I think about literally every single day. Loved that book. I recommend that book to any fantasy lovers. Yes. Then I did read Iron Flame right after that. I would give that one a 4.75 out of 5. I didn't love it as much, but I still absolutely loved that book. Do not get me wrong. I cannot wait for book 3. I will be in line at the bookstore for that. Here we go again. Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. I read this one in December. 2.75 out of 5. A lot of people loved this book by her. I didn't love it. Definitely think she has other books that I preferred more rather than that one, but it was still pretty good. Never Lie by Frida McFadden. This is my first Frida book that I've... No, baby. Of course, she finds me like at this time as well. Never Lie by Frida McFadden. This was my first Frida book. While it was great, I don't know, something about it was missing for me. However, the plot twist at the end, amazing. The Maid by Nita Prose. I rated this a 2.5 out of 5. If I could go back, I would give this book literally a 1-star review. I did not like this book at all, but the thing about me is when I start a book, I can't DNF it. I have to finish it. DNF means did not finish. I have to finish no matter what. 1 out of 5. I was told actually a couple weeks ago that this character may have been not fully there in her head, meaning she had some like mental problems, but I wish the book would have specified that, unless I totally missed it. I found the ending very predictable. I think I actually figured it out before it came, so it made the plot fall completely flat for me. But the main character was just so like missing She had no common sense, no knowledge of anything, and it was just boring and dull, and I got over it. But again, I have to finish a book. Next was The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. I rated this one a 3.5 out of 5. However, this one is pretty spicy. Great storyline, great plot, definitely recommend. Looking forward to reading more by this author. Then I read Slammed by Colleen Hoover. I gave this one a 3 out of 5. This one is no spice if you're a no spice kind of person. It was a sweet story, a quick read, great for wanting to get into reading. If you're an avid reader, you can definitely pass it. This was book 1 of 3. I will likely not finish the series because it was about a high school girl who falls in love with her teacher. You get the gist, okay? Next, You Shouldn't Have Come Here by Geneva Rose. I did enjoy this book. I gave this one a 3.5 out of 5. I read a lot of negative things on this one, unpopular opinion. I enjoyed the book. It starts off seeming like a romance, and then slowly the thriller aspect really comes in full play here. And it takes place, and it ended not at all how I expected it to end. Literally, like, kind of blew my mind. My daughter is taking all of the books that I had out and spreading them throughout the room. Next, The Nightingale. I thought I had this one. Oh, that's right. I let Lauren borrow it. I'm like, I own this book. And it's here because I read it here. The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. Such a good freaking book. 5 out of 5 stars. It is a historical fiction World War II book. It was so good. It was incredibly sad, and though this particular story may not have been true, the events that took place in the book are true. Like, those things happened during the Holocaust to people, and so it was very sad, but remarkable. Like, the Nightingale in the story and like her family, it's just people went through things like that, and then they did things to help, like these people in the book did. Just so good. Absolute must read for anybody. Okay, I think I have the other books unless they're on my Kindle. Oakley, can you please go get me all my books? No, the ones that you put in my backpack and all over there. Can you get those, please? Okay, so another 2023 read was The Things We Never, or not, I always say The Things, it's not the, just Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. She is a thick book. This was like, before Iron Flame, this was the thickest book I've ever read. Thick. I actually enjoyed this. It is pretty spicy. I relate this to, a lot of people don't enjoy this. I do think it was like 200 to 250 pages too long. Like, all of this could have been taken out and this just been the book, and it would have been phenomenal. I have to see what I rated it. I did enjoy it. I would rate this, or not rate, I would say this is like if you watch any reality TV and they put in every mundane detail that the people did. Like, she stood up off the bed and took 3 steps to the right and rounded the bed, and then another 6 steps to the bathroom door, and within taking 7 breaths. Like, I don't really know how to explain it. It was just so much mundane day-to-day stuff that could have just been totally left out. I gave this one a 3 out of 5. I said it has its moments of greatness and mild spice, but it's about 250 pages too long, 550 in total. Once chapter 20 came along, it started to get more interesting. It's book 1 of 3, and I'm debating on finishing the series. I do have the second book to read, and I would like to read it to give it a shot, but I've heard worse things about book 2, and it just doesn't intrigue, like, that doesn't intrigue me to go read it, you know? Okay, let's see, what else do I have? I'm trying to like not have to cut any of this out, so sorry. Next, another Colleen Hoover one, not sorry. November 9th. I don't know if it's November 9th or November 9. It just says November 9, but grammatically speaking, November 9th is what we're gonna say. 4 out of 5. You could read this book in a day, literally, and it's that captivating that it holds you the entire time from beginning to end. If I'm gonna recommend you any of her books, which there's a couple that I would, this would be in the top 5 of that. You should definitely read. It's really sad, but beautiful. Okay, and then let's hit it hard. Let's hit it hard. Okay. All right, here we have it. Yes, yes, yes. If you read Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, yes. And if you read this, yes, Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, of course. Okay, we'll take a quick intermission. Let's go potty, okay. Did the lighting change? I don't know. Anyways, let me pull it back up. Okay, where was I at? We're gonna dive into each of these individually, okay? I will stand on this because though when you read the rest, this book makes a lot of sense. This one in itself, 2.5 out of 5. 2.5 out of 5. Okay? Just this one. But when you read this one, 4 out of 5. Which then would bump this one for me to a 3.5 out of 5. Because things that happen in this book make a lot of sense after you, obviously, because this is book 1, but things that happen in here which you're like, that's like what? Ties in this one, okay? This one has redemption on the first, I promise. I promise. Okay, now we're gonna dig into this year, 2024. 3.5 out of 5. Thick boy. 699 pages, okay? 300 pages was too long for me. At the time, I said second favorite of the series so far. I'm 3 for 5. The amount of times that the word mate, that may be a spoiler, sorry, but the amount of times that the word mate is used in this book, I'd rather stick a fork in my eyeball. It's used literally like 5,000 times, I'm not kidding. Then this guy, book 4. My honest opinion, this book is completely not needed. It has no detail of any kind of significance, nothing vital or like nothing. It's just a follow-up of this, the things that take place in this. This is just giving us a little bit of aftermath. But you can honestly skip it, but you don't have to. I read this book in a day. It's like 250 something pages. No, 229 pages, 230. Easy, literal, single day read. I'm currently reading Silver Flames, so I don't have an official review for this, although so far I am 240 pages in. I already like this one way more than I like this one, but I will give a full review once I finish this. All right, we have one more book to review for 2023, and I did get it on my Kindle. I got a Kindle for Christmas. I'm a Kindle girly now. Woo! It was How Does It Feel by Janine O'Reilly. I don't really know what I expected this book to be, but it was honestly not at all what I expected, but I gave it a 4 out of 5. It is relatively spicy. It is fantasy as well, but the next book comes out in June, and I will absolutely be reading it without a doubt, 100%. 100%. Okay, next, let's get back. I gotta like bounce back and forth a lot. Let's cover every Kindle book I've read so that we can just get it out of the way. The first book that I read of this year, I'm not going to say the name of, I'm not going to recommend it because I would never recommend anybody read this book because it is so graphically detailed that it is just completely unnecessary. Next. The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to say the last name. I'm so sorry. I enjoyed this book 3.5 out of 5. Again, this plot was predictable for me. I caught it before it came because it gives, if you're really paying attention, some of the context clues just sweep you right on into it before it comes. So when the plot came, I was like, ah! Like I was hoping that like that wasn't the right answer, but I highly enjoyed this book and flew through it. Has a lot of background information on characters that seemed unimportant, and it took me so long to bypass that. I literally texted my, she's not really my cousin, he's like my step cousin, his wife. She's the one that told me to read this book, so I read it and I was texting her and I was like, Lauren, what is happening? What is all this background information? And she was like, trust the process, Ashley. And I did. It's a psychological thriller. It was pretty good. 3.5 out of 5. Then I read another historical fiction book called The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Heather Morris. I did not know this was based on a true story. Yes, it's on the cover. I didn't know it was based on a true story until the end of the book. And I literally, my heart was ripped and then taped back together a little bit. Based on a true story, absolute must read, 5 out of 5. Such a sad and heartbreaking story on World War II. It's easy to follow and really puts into perspective the life of the people who walked this journey. So good, so good. And there's actually a book 2 to it. I don't know if I'll get into that. We'll see. And then I think that's, just kidding. One more Kindle baddie. Haunting Adeline. Okay. I'm going to proceed with caution because this book does have a lot of heavy trigger warnings. And before you decide to read this book, based off my review, please go read those trigger warnings because they are very heavy. It is a very graphic and gory book. Spoiler alert, maybe I'm just going to give a little bit of detail as to the book. It's about, it goes back and forth from the perspective of her, Adeline, and then her, the guy in the book, Zaid is his name, and I don't want to give too much detail, but he ends up being her stalker and they fall in love. Yes, I know, weird, twisted, whatever. She doesn't want to admit it. He's in a heavy like career. He has a corporation called Z, and they go after the men and women who abduct women and children into the sex trafficking. I don't want to get flagged for anything. And into the SKIN trade, things like that. So human trafficking, okay? You know, use your Blue's Clues and rhyming words, kids, okay? Okay. All of those things, he goes and unalives those people and saves the slaves of that world, which is very prominent to the world that we live in. Which, it really sounds twisted when I say it out loud, but that's how I was able to like pursue the book, because things that take place in the book, though the book's not based on a true story, events in this book literally happen all around us. We just don't see it, and it's not talked about because it's harsh and it's scary. And spoiler alert, if you're reading the book, skip, okay? Spoiler alert for Haunting Adeline. At the end of the book, Addie gets abducted into this trade. She was targeted and she gets abducted. And in book 2, he avenges that, and I'm currently reading, which book 2 is called Hunting Adeline. I'm speaking. He goes after her in book 2. I'm not done with it yet, but no spoilers for that one. I think that's all for my Kindle. Daisy Jones and the Six. Honestly, kind of a waste of time for me. I gave it a 3 out of 5 because there were parts of it that I did enjoy, and then I watched the TV series and it just like put all the music and everything like a little more to life for me. So I think I did put a little bit of the TV series rating into this. I don't love the interview aspect of the book. It's literally like this the whole time. Like it just goes, it's just like if you're learning a role, like character skidding the whole time. And that just got really hard for me to follow and love and enjoy. So just watch the TV show. That's all I'm gonna say. This one was all over my book talk. People told me to read this. I read it. Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. And I gotta go back to see. I gave this one a 3.5 out of 5. This one is spicy. It took me way too long to get through for how popular this book is. I just couldn't get into it quickly enough. I did finish it. It's cute, but I didn't love the ending. Spoiler for this book, so skip. These two people. I also said that her name is, I guess you could say Anastasia Allen. I did say Anastasia. I don't know if that's because of the brand of like makeup, but then they call it, it's like Stassi is her nickname. So it was like, well, Anastasia and Stassi, but Anastasia and Stassi, like that was just my brain. And Nate, figure skater, hockey player. He likes her, she can't stand him. They fall in love, of course. It skips from them graduating, like getting out of college, to 2 years later, and like they're married with kids, and it's like, well, I hated that. Why? So anyways, next we'll do this one. The Night She Disappeared by Lisa Jewell. This one was recent for me to finish. 3 out of 5 stars. Took a lot longer than it should have for me to also get through this. It literally picked up around chapter 32 of 71. How? I don't know. It's 401 pages. So how this book had 71 chapters, I don't have a clue. But I got confused because it goes back and forth like between 2 years. And it was like her mom is more current, and then she's like the daughter's the previous year. And I just had a hard time following it. And there are so many different perspectives. There's so many character introductions. I just had a really hard time diving into this one. Though once it comes and it's great. But it was for me such a slow burner that I had a hard time loving it. But it was my first Lisa Jewell book, and it didn't turn me away from her writing, so I'll definitely read more by her. But slow burner, but then it burned and it was good. But it just took me a long time to get there. All right, I think this is the last one. Is this the last one? I feel like I've read a lot, but then like, I feel like I've not read anything at the same time. From Blood and Ash. 1 million people, not really, like 4 people told me to read this book. She's heftier. This is my first book by this author, Jennifer L. Armentrout. That's how I'm gonna say it. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. It is a romantic-y fantasy book. I just found out today, literally the day that I'm recording this, which by the way is February 3rd, there are 6 books in this series. Now, I say that even though I've read ACOTAR, which is already 5, and allegedly there's 2 more coming out, and I'm going to read them. Yes, I'm going to read them. But, how? I just don't understand. I did love this book. I believe I gave it either a 3 or 3.5. Yep, 3. I'm glad I looked at my note on this. This is the first book. There is not a lot of character or world building in this. So I was really confused for a while, and I had no idea how to picture any of the characters. So that was hard for me to follow, because it's like, as I'm reading, it's like a movie is playing through my head of like what's happening, and I can see the characters that I envision. But this, I simply just could not do that. So that would be the only quote complaint that I have. So if you're not, if you want to be a fantasy reader but you've never read a fantasy book, I don't recommend that this would be the first one. I think you should read ACOTAR or anything by Sarah J. Maas or Rebecca Yarros, or just, I also want to read Powerless. That would maybe be a good one. I've not read it, but I've heard great things, by Lauren Roberts. I want that book so badly. Anyways, I wouldn't start with this one. Once you've read a couple fantasy books, then come to this, but I don't think that you'll understand what's happening fantasy-wise to even, you know, I don't know how to explain it. But that is all the books that I read for 2023, and a lot of what I read for, not a lot, I read 9 books in January, and then I finished one for February already. So that is currently my this far up to date reading wrap up. And being that this video is now going to be longer than I anticipated, and I don't want to edit a lot of it out, we're going to end it here, and I'll do another book as to what another video as to what I want to read. You can also follow me on TikTok and Instagram. My bookstagram is Ashley Biddix Reads, or you can follow me, Ashley Brooke Biddix. Follow me on Instagram or TikTok, I think it's Ashley Biddix. All the things, or just subscribe here. I don't post as frequently as I want because my life is boring and I don't do anything but read. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Drop a comment below and tell me what your favorite book of 2023 is, or what you're reading this year, or a book that you would recommend, or do all 3. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.